How's it been, Grant here? Welcome back to another camera comparison video. This time I have the battle of the 108 megapixel cameras, one at $300, the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G, and one at $1,300, the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. So just based on price, you would think the Note 20 Ultra is going to win this hands down, but does it? I'm going to show you all the photos and videos for you to judge for yourself, and because I like to compare as much as possible with these cameras, it's going to be a pretty lengthy video, so time codes will be in the description for you to easily navigate the video. So go ahead and take a look at all the photos and videos, and I'll come back at the end and let you know if I think the Note 20 Ultra is $1,000 better just for the cameras alone. Everyone, so we're in the park testing out the video on the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G and the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. We're starting out on the ultra wide angle lens, and you can actually change between the lenses on both these phones while recording, which is nice. And so obviously this is the ultra wide on both phones. You can see what the field of view is like on each and what the color reproduction looks like here. And I can change into the main lens on each. On the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, it's just a one button tap to get to the main wide angle lens. On the Redmi, you have to actually zoom in, so it's not a one button tap. So let's try to get to the 1x zoom here. And there you go. So that's the main wide angle on the Redmi. So that's what that now looks like. And we can go ahead and pan over here to the right, and we can do a zoom test on the tower. So let's go in on the Redmi here. So that's max, gets to 2x lens there, and we can go pinch to zoom, get to 2x there on the Note. And the Note 20 Ultra can actually go up to a 20x zoom. So let's try to do that. Let's get in here, 20x right there. So it gets really close and kind of having some trouble focusing in, and there it is. But once it focuses, it looks really smooth, steady, and very clear actually on the Note. And the 2x is the max on the Redmi. So we'll back out on both. And let's get back here to the main on the Redmi. Let's go to, there you go. And we'll do a focus test here on the post first with the Redmi. And focus away, focus in. Autofocus isn't too bad. And one more time. So when we're here, we'll do that on the Note now. So there is on the Note, locks in really fast. So a little bit faster here on the Note, a little bit more pronounced. But autofocus there seems to be okay on both. We'll do some stabilization test here. Walk down the stairs. Give you an idea of what the stabilization looks like here at 1080p. And we'll get to the end of this path here, and we'll pan around the park and up into the afternoon light so you can see how the exposure handles that bright sunlight there. Alright, so here we go with the same test in the park, this time at 4K on both phones. This is the main wide angle lens. So you can see what that looks like here on each. And we'll pan over here to the right. We'll test some zoom again here, this time in 4K. So let's zoom in here on the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G. So you can see 6x digital zoom there. A little bit shaky, at least in the viewfinder. And we can go ahead and zoom in. That's 5x on the Note. And if you want to go max zoom, again, that would be 20x on the Note to get really, really close there. And in the viewfinder, the Note looks pretty stable and very clear. Still very shaky on the Redmi. We'll back it out here. And we'll back out the Redmi as well. And we'll do some autofocus tests here on the post. So first with the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G, focused in, away, one more time. And it'll eventually focus in, it's just a bit slow, there you go, and away, and one more time. There you go. Now with the Note, autofocus, very snappy. So again, autofocus still faster here on the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. And we'll test stabilization here again at 4K. So obviously there's no stabilization here on the Redmi at 4K, but we'll pan around to see how it does into this afternoon sunlight.
That's how I got that heat, let's go.
Hey everyone, so here's some front-facing footage from the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G and the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Obviously this is the afternoon and some bright light out here, so we'll pan around so you can see what the video quality looks like and the color reproduction is and exposure into some of this changing light. The sunlight's now behind me, you can see what that looks like. And we'll pan back around this way to see how it changes, and we'll do a little walking to test stabilization as well, so get you an idea for how these front-facing cameras look and what the stabilization might look like here on both of these phones. So let me know what you think of the front-facing footage on the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G and the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra here. Hey everyone, so these are the front-facing cameras again in more of a controlled lighting environment outdoors. The Note 20 Ultra is now at 4K, so you can kind of compare what that resolution looks like to the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G at 1080p here. And so I'll go ahead and start some walking so we can do some stabilization testing as well. But just want to give you a different view here in a more shaded environment, so there's not as much harsh sunlight, so you can get a little bit of a different comparison here. So let me know what you think about this from the front-facing cameras. Hey friends, so here's a low light test between the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G and the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. This is 1080p, 30 frames per second here. Just slowly pan over to the right, and we'll pan up into that bright light so you can see how it handles the flaring. And the Note 20 Ultra, at least the viewfinder, looks like that's flaring that light out quite a bit more there. Pan down here, and we'll pan this way, and we'll start walking to test stabilization, but also to test the light transition here from that pretty well lit scene And as you walk over this way, it's going to get much darker. So you can see how it handles that light transition, as well as what the stabilization looks like here. Both of these should be fully stabilized at 1080p, but there could be more micro jitters here in low light, which is typical. As you can see here, it's getting much darker, and the Note 20 Ultra, at least the viewfinder, is staying a lot brighter here. And we'll pause here, and we'll pan up into the night sky so it gets darker. You can see what that looks like. We actually have some stars out here tonight, looks like, which is rare. We'll pan left this way, it'll get a little bit more bright here. And again, the Note 20 Ultra looks a little bit brighter, or considerably brighter in the viewfinder. So there's your 1080p test in some low light. Hey everyone, so here's the same scene, this time at 4K on both phones. So we'll pan over this way. The Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G does not have stabilization in 4K, so it's going to look more jittery. Pan up into that bright light. And again, the Note 20 Ultra looks like it's flaring that out some more than the Redmi is. But we'll go ahead and pan over this way and we'll test that stabilization anyway. The Note 20 Ultra is fully stabilized still at 4K, so it should be pretty obvious compared to the Redmi here. And again, we'll see how it handles the transition from brighter light to pretty much darkness here in 4K. 4K footage will typically be darker. And again, pay attention to any kind of micro stutters that you see from walking here. And now it's getting pretty dark, and both phones definitely look darker than they did at 1080p. But the Note 20 Ultra, at least the viewfinder is still looking brighter. Pan up into the dark night sky there, and pan left where it gets a little bit more light here. But there's a comparison in 4K and low light. Hey everyone, so here's some front-facing footage from the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G and the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra in some low light. Now this is a decently well-lit area. You can see all the lights around me and the lights in the back, so you can see how the cameras are handling that really bright light in the background there. But we'll go ahead and walk and we'll do some stabilization testing. You can see what that looks like here on both phones. And we'll be going to a little bit darker area here so you can kind of see how it looks in a brighter area and what it looks like with a little bit less light as well. And I'm also approaching a fountain, so you'll be able to hear that. We can test the audio to see how well it cancels that out or not on each of these phones. And again, it's a bit darker here, as you can see, and if I pan around this way, you'll see the light transition again. You'll see the really bright lights behind me. See how they're handling that. In this case, the Redmi looks like it's flaring that out a little bit more than the Note. But we'll pan it back this way and we'll step back into the darker area here so you can see what that finally looks like in this light. So let me know what you think about the front-facing cameras here in some low light. Hey everyone, so now that you've seen all the photos and videos for yourself, which has the better 108 megapixel camera to you? Is the Note 20 Ultra worth $1,000 more just for the cameras alone? For me personally, the answer is no. I think the Note 20 Ultra definitely has a great set of cameras, but it's not $1,000 better just for the cameras over the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G. And the Redmi actually outperforms its $300 price point at the cameras by a wide margin. The main weaknesses that I saw were in 4K, it's not stabilized, and during the day the colors can get pretty off. But at night, the colors actually look pretty good in 4K even though it's not stabilized. And the second thing is low light performance for photos, as you would expect. It can be really good actually, but it can also be really poor. So if Xiaomi can even out the low light photo performance, I think that would plug a big gap right there. But all in all, for $300, as long as it supports your wireless bands, you're getting a lot of phone and a great set of cameras on the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G. I do still think the Note 20 Ultra is still the better overall phone and set of cameras just for its consistency and amount of features. But for $300, and if you're fine primarily shooting in 1080p for video, you're getting a really good set of cameras on the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G, and you certainly can't go wrong with that choice. But those are just my quick thoughts on this camera comparison, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, if you have any other questions, drop them down there. And as always, thanks for watching.